Every day, somewhere on Earth, people stop what they are doing and gather around a body. They wash it, dress it, carry it, cover it with earth, speak to it, cry over it, place flowers beside it. Sometimes they whisper words to someone who can no longer answer. Burial feels so deeply human that it is easy to imagine we have always done it. But we have not. For most of our evolutionary history, the dead left no grave, no stone, no name, and no place for the living to return to. So when did humans first begin to bury the dead? And why would any creature spend precious time and energy digging a hole for someone who could no longer help the group? The answer begins with a problem. Bodies disappear. They are scattered by animals, broken by weather, carried by water, exposed on the surface, or destroyed by thousands of years of geological change. A skeleton found inside a cave is not automatically a burial. A person may have fallen, a body may have been dragged there, sediment may have covered it naturally. To prove that an ancient grave was intentional, archaeologists look for a pattern. Was a pit deliberately dug? Was the body placed in a specific position? Were the bones still connected, suggesting the corpse was protected from scavengers? Was the grave filled with different sediment? Were objects placed beside the dead? And, most importantly, can natural processes explain what happened? This is why the story of the first burial is not a simple date. It is an argument written in soil. Long before clear graves appear, ancient humans probably reacted to death. Chimpanzees may remain near a dead group member. Elephants touch bones and bodies. Some animals guard corpses, carry dead infants, or show unusual behavior after a loss. These actions do not prove religion, but they reveal something important. A social animal can recognize that a familiar individual has changed and that the change matters. Our ancestors may have felt loss long before they understood death. Imagine a small group moving across a landscape hundreds of thousands of years ago. One member dies. At first, the group may wait. Perhaps the person is sleeping, perhaps they will move again. But the body becomes cold, the smell changes, insects arrive, predators may be attracted. The group now faces a practical decision. Leave the body, move it, cover it, hide it, return to it. The earliest mortuary behavior may have begun not with a belief in heaven, but with danger, hygiene, attachment, and confusion. A corpse near a camp is a problem, but the corpse is also someone. That difference may be where burial begins. Some very ancient sites contain collections of human remains that may have been deliberately placed in caves, shafts, or special locations. But placing a body somewhere is not necessarily the same as digging a grave. The clearest early burials appear much later, among both Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. At Qafzeh Cave, in what is now Israel, early Homo sapiens were buried roughly 100,000 years ago. Several individuals, including children, were found in positions that strongly suggest deliberate graves. One young person was buried with parts of a deer placed near the body. Red ochre was also present at the site. Ochre can be used for many purposes, so it does not automatically prove ritual. But when bodies, pigments, and carefully placed objects appear together, the scene becomes difficult to explain as an accident. Someone had made a choice. The dead were not simply abandoned. They were placed. This is one of the most important shifts in human history. A body had become more than biological waste. It had become the remains of a person. Thousands of years later, in a cave on the coast of Kenya, another grave reveals the same strange tenderness. At Panga, Saidi, archaeologists discovered the remains of a child about 2.5 to 3 years old, buried around 78,000 years ago. The child had been placed in a shallow pit in a flexed position. The position of the head suggests it may once have rested on something soft, perhaps a support that later decayed. We do not know the child's name. We do not know who dug the pit, but we know that someone handled a very small body with care, That detail matters. Some of the oldest known graves contain children. This may seem surprising. Children could not hunt, lead, or produce as much food as adults, yet their deaths received attention. That suggests burial was not only about status or usefulness, it may have grown from attachment. A child had been loved, protected, remembered, or at least recognized as belonging to the group. Death ended the child's life. It did not immediately end the relationship. Neanderthals also appear to have buried at least some of their dead. At sites such as La Ferrassie in France and Shanidar Cave in Iraq, bodies were found in contexts that many researchers interpret as deliberate burial. Shanidar became famous for the idea that one Neanderthal had been buried with flowers. Pollen was found near the skeleton, creating a powerful image. Neanderthals placing blossoms beside their dead. But science rarely leaves a beautiful story untouched. Later researchers argued that the pollen may have been carried by burrowing animals, insects, or natural contamination. The flower burial remains uncertain. But the uncertainty about flowers does not erase the larger evidence. At Shanidar, a newly excavated Neanderthal skeleton was found in a position and sedimentary context consistent with intentional burial. The important point is not whether Neanderthals invented funerals exactly as we know them. It is that more than one human species may have treated dead bodies in socially meaningful ways. Burial was probably not a single invention made by one brilliant group and copied by everyone else. It may have appeared more than once. Different humans, facing the same emotional and practical problem, may have reached the same solution. Dig, place, cover, remember. But why cover the body at all? The practical explanations are obvious. Burial protects a corpse from scavengers. It reduces smell. It prevents predators from being drawn toward a living area. It can stop people from seeing the body decay. Yet practical explanations do not fully explain careful body positions, repeated grave locations, pigments, tools, animal parts, ornaments, or the burial of children. Something else was happening. Burial controls the transformation of a person into remains. Without burial, death is chaotic. The body changes in public. Animals scatter it. Weather destroys the face. Familiar features disappear. A grave allows the living to decide where the body goes and what happens next. It turns an uncontrollable event into an organized action. An organized action is the beginning of ritual. A ritual does not require a temple, a priest, or a god. It can begin with repetition. The body is placed this way. The group gathers here. The pit is closed. Certain objects remain with the dead. The living leave together. These actions create structure at the exact moment when the social world has been broken. One person is missing. Burial helps the group reorganize around that absence. It may also create a place for memory. Before graves, the dead belonged everywhere and nowhere. After burial, loss had a location. A person could return to the cave, the pit, the stone, or the patch of earth. The grave became a physical address for someone who no longer existed in the ordinary world. This does not prove that early humans believed in an afterlife. Archaeologists must be careful here. A tool beside a body may be an offering for another world, or it may have belonged to the dead. Ochre may symbolize blood, life, identity, or nothing we can recover. A flexed body may imitate sleep, or it may simply fit inside a small pit. Burial tells us that the dead mattered. It does not tell us exactly what the living believed. Still, once people began placing objects with bodies, a remarkable possibility appeared. Perhaps the dead were imagined as still needing something? Food, tools, ornaments, protection, identity. The body could no longer move, yet the relationship continued through action. This may be the psychological bridge toward ancestors, spirits, and imagined worlds beyond death. Not proof of religion, but a foundation on which religion could later grow There is also a more controversial possibility. Deep inside the Rising Star Cave system in South Africa, remains of Homo naledi, a small-brained human relative, have been interpreted by some researchers as deliberate burials dating hundreds of thousands of years ago. If true, this would push intentional burial far deeper into the past and show that a large modern human brain was not required. But the claim remains heavily debated. Other researchers question whether the pits were truly graves, whether the bodies were intentionally buried, and whether natural processes have been ruled out. This debate is important because burial is easy to imagine and difficult to prove. A powerful story can appear before the evidence is ready. The honest answer is that we do not know who buried the dead first. We may never know. The earliest grave we discover is not necessarily the first grave ever made. Most ancient burials vanished without a trace. Many were dug in soft ground. Many bodies decomposed completely. Many sites remain hidden or destroyed. Archaeology gives us the oldest surviving evidence, not the first human thought. The true beginning may have been much earlier. Perhaps it started when someone refused to leave a body exposed. Perhaps when a mother would not abandon her dead child. Perhaps when a group carried a companion away from camp instead of walking on. Perhaps when someone returned to the same place days later. The first burial may not have looked like a funeral. No speech, no flowers, no carved stone, only a shallow pit, a body, and a few silent people standing nearby. But that simple act changed the relationship between humans and time. The living could now care for a person after life had ended. They could preserve identity beyond the final breath. They could transform grief into action and absence into memory. Burial did not defeat death. It did something more human. It gave death a shape. Today, our cemeteries, tombs, funerals, monuments, and memorials are enormously complex. But beneath them lies the same ancient gesture. Someone has died. The group stops. The body is treated differently from every other object in the world. And the living say, through action, you were one of us. You are gone. But we will not behave as though you never existed.